Welcome to the 4050 Social Club. We are so excited to have you join us today as we talk about the important topics of helping you transition through the ages of 40 to 50. Black men, if you're out there, if you need a resource or reference point to share some time with myself, CJ, and Quest as we take you on different journeys and stories and give you our perspective on how to navigate through the most important years of your life, ranging from relationship to faith to finance to entrepreneurship to corporate America. You name it, we got you. Come join us, Black men, as we talk about some of the most pressing topics you'll want to talk about as you transition between the ages of 40-50. 4050 Social Club. Let's check out this next topic today. Let's go, y'all.
You know, it's great to see you fellas again. I bet that at this point in time, you know, people are seeing us and they're really, really inspired by some of the things that we're doing. But I think this week we need to dive into these relationships. I mean, just think about the state of the Black relationship right now. Black men, Black women, think about marriage, the struggles, co-parenting, just understanding each other. Like, all of that is something I feel in some ways we need to discuss. Where are we with our own toxic masculinity in these situations? Are we able to remove ourselves from that? I don't know, but I think that we should talk about this right here, right now on the 4050 Social Club.
All right, here we go, y'all. So I got to jump it off by saying, you know, what's going on with Black relationships? What's going on between Black men and Black women? Why are we so divided right now? I just want to ask that question as we kick this off in 2025. What y'all thinking? Let's get into it.
Yeah. Wow. There are a lot of reasons. I'm really interested to hear what you all have to say about it too. My first thought on it is that it's one of those things that dates back a long time. Like, when I think about the way we're all reared through childhood to eventually get to our adulthood, and some of the things that I think happen, like there are tropish stereotypes that exist out there about Black men. Same thing happens about Black women. Like, when you think about Black men, what are some of those messages that we have received or that the world has received about us? We're lazy. We're shiftless. Commitment is something that we're averse to. You know, we don't take care of our families. We leave at the drop of a hat. Like, those are the kind of things that are out there about us. Whether or not they're true or not doesn't matter. And of course, there are going to be some people that play into it. But whether or not we have control over it, like, that's kind of what it is right now. You think about Black women. What do we hear out there? Angry, bitter, emasculating, like all those different things. So what do you think happens? It's about confirmation bias. As you start to get older and have experiences, when you go into a relationship with someone else and you've got all the stuff in your mind that you've been fed and conditioned to believe for all this time, the moment somebody does anything that's in the realm of what you've been taught they are, the first thing you do is say, oh my gosh, all those things about them must be true. There's a saying, it's like, what you see depends on what you look for. So if you're going into something looking for those things, looking for those negative stereotypes and tropes, you're going to find them. And the moment you do, it starts to shut you down to who that other person is. And it just happens, cycle after cycle, relationship after relationship. Not all of them have to be that way. And so I think it's on us to kind of overcome it. But I would say, to me, with what I see, I think that has a lot to do. We come in conditioned to see something that may or not be there.
I agree with that in a lot of ways. And I agree to just expound upon that just a little bit, is to say, think about it from the standpoint of you're learning majority of your things from home first. So as we are younger and we are more impressionable, the child psychology around things is that we are going to be imprinted on from a young age and very impressionable around things that we see and are being done within the home. So if we're seeing certain situations in Black relationships, a lot of times, you know, we're not articulating that to our parents, but we're emulating that when we go out.
Yeah.
You know, so I think a lot of times we also have to take into condition, into our realm of just ideas. We have social media now. It's a lot more robust than it was in the times when we were coming up and we have to, you know, get that phone going and dial on that rotary phone. Or I know a lot of people remember the party line when we was on that party line and was getting it like that. Like, I think it's just a little different. Not to say that some of the same anxieties, some of the same situations of toxicity are not there. They are. And to Chris, your point, that's when we are talking about how you're raised and the things that you see and how you are, holding on to those things. The other part of this is trauma.
Yeah.
It's trauma. It's trauma that we probably don't even know about. Like, it's trauma that unless we go and see someone for them to actually talk back to us, for us to realize this trauma, we don't know. And therefore, a lot of times we get into these relationships emulating what we're seeing, emulating what's on television, emulating what we saw at home. And it becomes a real situation for us to kind of figure out.
Yeah. I love what you just said about trauma, but man, when I think about this question, it's layered, right? It's so many layers to it. I feel like the divide between Black men and Black women has to do with what you said, unresolved trauma. I feel like women are learning at a very much younger age than men how to address their trauma, their childhood trauma. And men just don't address it. Black men specifically, we will hide our trauma, our unresolved trauma, our whole lives. And I feel like because we don't deal with that trauma, women exponentially grow past us and they just outgrow us. It's like you having somebody that's so mature and yet you still, in terms of where they are as a person internally, but that man is still a child in some ways because he hasn't even tapped into that inner boy. So he's still responding like a child. He's still treating that relationship like, his dad taught him how to be toxically masculine. Like you just mentioned, like, I feel like the divide is because there's such a large population of Black men that don't want to address their own trauma, that women are just like, you know what? I'll catch you on the next one. And so it's like, it's starting to become this larger population of men that are addressing their trauma, and they got a whole lot of women that they could choose from. And then you got this other pool of men that are still stuck in their trauma. And it's like, I feel like their pool is either shrinking or their pool is staying the same because women have just, said, you know what, I'm just going to hang out in that pool over there because I really don't want to deal with my trauma past a certain point.
I think that second part is more of where a lot of people are. Like, I think a lot of people are in that they're in trauma. So they don't know, and they
both
just,
sides.
Here we are, and a person, here comes the narcissism, here comes the manipulation. When you understand that and you engage into relationships with people who now you are being manipulative with, who now you are taking advantage of because you understand this trauma. So there's trauma in that, right?
There's trauma in that.
We keep using the word trauma, right? And I understand why we're using it, because it is saying that in some ways we have been hurt, right? We have been inflicted with something that possibly is now hurting us. And so to your point, Jay, I feel like a lot of us are sheep to trauma. We're sheep to it. And we, in this relationship thing, like you were just saying, I feel like there's more people in the parts now where they're looking at it from a standpoint of, like, how I need to manipulate this as much as I can, because what? Like, what? This person might do the same thing. And they're not stopping to actually fix the issue. They're just saying, I need another way to, just to keep going, to kind of understand.
Yeah, man.
I think it's another piece too. I think it's another element out there too. The codependency on Black men and women has shifted. When we were growing up, I feel like when we were growing up, there was a codependency that Black men and women had for each other. Like, the woman would take care of the home, the man would provide. And I'm not saying those things still don't exist, but because how things have shifted to the point where we are now, where a woman may not necessarily need a man to do those things to necessarily provide. A woman now needs a man to provide some of those softer sides too. You know what I'm saying? That once wasn't necessary, like the man had to be there, and like now a woman could be just as much a beast gorilla and do all the same things, but she still needs that affection. She still needs that intimacy. And sometimes men don't want to play that role.
Wow. Yeah. That's big. And what I love about what you just said there too is what you're talking about is evolution. You're talking about
Yeah.
times have changed, things have changed. There is no going back to what was. So how do we look at where we are, look toward the future and understand that we're not going back? Like we need to change to evolve along with what's going on. And it does mean being able to accept some different roles and be okay with that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And what was interesting hearing you all talk about it too, because one of the things I know having grown up and watched it, like when you're young, when you're a kid, you're a black boy, you're a black girl, you know that the two of you are different, but you don't understand the ways necessarily that the world views you as different based on your gender. You may understand it based on race, but on gender is just a little bit of a different thing. So I remember having those moments like, wow, like college is one of those things I think about where all the black dudes that, not all of them, but most of the black dudes that were there, we were real tight with each other. Like we could go get together, drop of a hat, go roll over to some other campus and have a good time. And we never saw the women doing the same thing. And we looked at it like, wow, what's wrong with them? Without understanding they are being treated and not seen in the world in a way that we are seen. So we didn't understand what they were living under. So there was no understanding of what we perceived as bitterness or what we perceived as anger. It was just like, hey, I don't need that issue in my life like that. What they were looking at in us was like, these clowns don't even understand all that attention that they're getting. That's plastic. That's not real. At the end of the day, the people that, at the end of the day, the people that are kissing their ass and making them feel like they're the best thing since sliced bread, they want you to fit in a certain box. And the moment you try to get out of that box is the moment they're going to make you realize how unseen you actually are. So, and again, but I think we were seeing one another and knowing there was a difference, but not understanding what it is. That's one of the advantages of now being almost 53 and having enough life experience to be able to look back on that like, wow, I wish I'd been different in those circumstances. So now that I understand what I do, let me tell the next young man or young woman coming up behind me, start to see each other for who you are and not what the world is trying to tell you you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
That's good.
Well, there's
good.
So here's that begs another question though, and this is more so for the guys, and I know they're women's podcasts, they'll do the same kind of things, but black men, what's one thing that you wish black women understood about you? Who's first?
Man,
I would have to say the number one thing that I feel is that being strong doesn't always have to deal with physical strength. You know, like I feel like, you know, that's a misconception all the time. Sometimes when it's I need a strong man, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, I think that's a universal thing, right? Like universal categories of strong man. Maybe you do need a strong physical man, but I also might need a strong provider that knows how to financially take care of things and is very financially sound. Someone who's a very good curator of events for us to go on dates or whatever like that. Like, you know, I think there are other strengths that men have that are not just muscle related. So that's one for me. I think, you know, it may not be so, but I think a lot of times women are really looking like, you know, I need somebody strong to protect me at all times. We'll figure out the other part. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Yeah.
I think for
Jay,
me,
what you say?
yeah, I think for me, it's about, you know, really having somebody that really has your best interest at heart, somebody that wants to be your genuine friend. I hate to, you know, reference Aura, you know, but he was saying, what's that one? A homie love, a friend. Like, to me, that's what I want. Like, somebody that's able to flip between all those different hats and still be comfortable in their skin and not make me feel less than because I'm asking that of them. You know, but knowing when to flip those hats too, I think is also equally important, you know, and so I think for me, man, it's like, you know, they say, you know, your woman, your partner, the person that you're gonna spend, you know, the bulk of your time with, like being able to feel comfortable in your own skin and the different skins that we have is probably the utmost importance to me, because I feel like, you know, of course, she got to look a certain way. She got to smell a certain way. She got to carry a certain way. That's like baseline. That should just come off the rip. But somebody that really will have and garner my heart will be able to flip in between those different sides of themselves because those sides are important to me. So that's what I would say, man. Yeah.
Chris, I'm
All
going to
right.
How
step
about
back
you,
in
Ian?
for just a moment before we get to you. And I'm going to say, I think a misconception is too that we don't listen, that a lot of us don't listen. And I feel like, yes, some do not, but I feel there is like a, just a huge moniker on us as Black men, and we don't fucking listen. Excuse me,
Yeah.
excuse my language. I'm a little bit
Yeah.
passionate
A
about
little
that.
All
passionate
good.
about
Because
that one.
Let it out.
I
Let it
feel
breathe.
for a person like myself, I am very much an attentive listener. I very much are sitting here and trying to and listen as a woman is speaking to me, as anyone is speaking to me. But as my partners are speaking to me, I'm listening and I'm processing. I'm even to the point now where I'm having to write certain things down because maybe I'm listening too much and ain't heard exactly what you're trying to say and need to go back to it at some point. But I make a conscious effort to always listen and repeat back or something to that nature to allow you to understand that I'm not only listening, but I am listening to your mood. I'm listening to how
Active
you're saying
listening.
it, why
Yeah,
you're
active
saying it, that active listening, like you said, Jay. And I think that is a huge, for a lot of women, that is a huge misconception that we don't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really
What
good one.
about you, CJ? What about you, though, man?
Yeah, I had a thought before Quest said that. Now my mind started going somewhere else. I'm gonna try to come back to it. And he started raising up some things in me like,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm sorry, man.
I guess I would say this gets back to the whole idea of how the nature of men and women, but particularly Black men and women, how our relationships are evolving. Janine, she'll tell you why. You know what's funny? I'm gonna take a quick second right here. You see this wedding band, this wedding ring. I never wear it when I come. I come home, I take off everything, I get comfortable. My wife looked at them first 4 podcasts. She was like, dude, you need to put that on. So I just happened to notice it. I literally just happened to notice it on my finger, like, damn. Okay, so anyway,
boy.
now that I got that out the way, one of the things I remember getting married was everybody says it, the whole thing, like happy wife, happy life. You hear that?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. It never felt that right to me. Like I felt like this is only accepting half of us in this relationship.
Yeah.
Where's my happiness coming to play? Now, my
Yeah.
needs may have been simpler as a man, who knows? But I would say the one thing I've always wanted to have known about me is that I think my happiness is just as front and center as yours. Like, I really believe that should be,
Yeah.
because without it, we're not functioning as a real partnership. Without
That's
it, the
real.
way we're functioning is I
Yeah.
stay here, I'm the stoic, I'm hard, I can deal with whatever. Yep. As long as you feel good, whatever, I'm gonna just deal with it. I lock all that inside. Maybe when I get around my boys, I let some of that out. But the moment that has to happen like that, it means that I can't be my full self when I'm at home.
That's
And
real.
why do I want to come home and not be comfortable? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
want to come
Right.
home and feel
Yeah.
like I can be me.
Yeah.
And if I have to withhold a part of myself because to let that out and start to express what makes me happier, to make that not something that is respected, like, to me, that's just a non-starter. So married as long as I've been, it has been a journey for us to kind of get to this point. Because I know for my wife, like Janine, she grew up hearing that happy wife, happy life. She threw that on me when we first got together. She will tell a story about this older gentleman that I know who was essentially like, dude, you got to give it up. You got to give it up. Like, you just got, as long as she's happy, you just got to deal. And he was right on so many different levels. But at the end of the day, there's still something incomplete about that. And so I would say one of the things I would love for them to know, not just about me, but about us, is our happiness deserves to have some front and center stage too.
Yeah. So now
Like,
to
one
that,
does not need to outweigh the other.
That's good.
to your point here, then now are we looking at this whole scenario from a situation of the dynamics of gender? If we are, for Black men right now, are we still fighting for leadership in relationships, or are we choosing peace?
Ooh. That ties in so nicely to what you just said, though, about
Yeah.
happy wife, happy life.
Well, here, before you respond to it too, what I love about this is that the three of us are in 3 very different places when it comes to relationships.
Sure.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
different places. So I think what the audience is going to get here is going to be interesting, because there are parts of it where I think you're going to see some commonalities, but there are parts of it that are going to be different. We don't know what the other one's about to say right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jay,
Yeah.
Jay, you ain't quite married yet. You might need to be careful with.
I need to be careful with this one. I mean, maybe I go last. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Maybe I get y'all responses first, then I'll go last. But nah, man, I feel like, I feel like there is some, some things that are happening, like happy life, happy wife. I agree with you so much, CJ. Like it should be our happiness. You know what I mean? And that should never be questioned. I feel like if you were just the person that just gave a woman everything she wanted, she get bored with you. You know what I mean? I know I would if a woman just gave me everything. Eventually, I'm gonna be like, okay, cool.
It's
too
easy.
easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it?
Why does that have? Why would that have to change? Why does that dynamic have to change? If anything, it's a whole bunch of people you could get out here to just do anything for. It's that relationship that's gonna push you to do more. So to me, I think that's what it's all about. Like, can we build each other up? Can we make each other better? Can we sharpen each other? Like,
sure.
that shouldn't have to be like, okay, I'm sacrificing my manhood or my leadership. It's like, no, we're both investing time, effort, money, energy into getting to our best versions. Like, to me, that's happiness. It may not seem like happy all the time. Lord knows it's not. But when you can reflect back after the fact and be like, dang, that was some of the hardest stuff I ever had to deal with. But look at where we are now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's happiness. To me, that's growth. If I'm not growing, I'm dying. So I'm like, and I gotta be with a partner that's gonna grow with me. If not, then they just gonna trade me in for the next version. You know what I mean?
Good point. Good point, man. It's so interesting thinking about this with the leadership piece. What I go back to first is the idea of power just in general.
Yeah.
And how the way we live in the world, and again, just sort of the way we've been conditioned. And you know me, I'm not playing a victim. No, I'm not doing it. Like we have power within ourselves that we need to understand how to flex. But the way the world treats us, too often we don't feel that same sense of power in the world.
Okay.
So when you come in that home, what's coming together is a history. What's coming together is what happened that day when you had to deal with some people that weren't seeing you the way you wanted to be seen or whatever. You come home and that does start to become a battle. Because again, as a Black man, when we are out there, we want to be seen for who we are. We want to be seen for the kings that we know ourselves to be or want to believe ourselves to be. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. But we want to be seen that way. And it's hard to be seen like that in the world. Black women just want to be seen, period. You know what I mean? Like they want people to see and recognize them for the queens that they are. So when you come together at the end of the day, and you've got all these things going on, it'd be great if we could just exist in peace together and sort of heal one another as we're going through this so we can go back out in the world. But too often we get into this loggerheads with one another because we haven't had that ability to really lead in our own way outside of the home. So in the home, we're trying to do that with one another. So to me, the idea of leadership versus peace, I think that's problematic in and of itself. Because I think that struggle can happen if we're healing with one another, healing one another and with one another, and we can find that peace together. So we can lead, but leading doesn't always mean that I'm at the front. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be at the front. Sometimes we're at the front together. Sometimes both of us are behind and don't know what to do. That's all a part of what relationships are. So it's stop putting expectations on people for what you think they're going to be. Accept them for who they are. And the moment you do that, you don't have to lead me. I don't have to lead you. We are leading together because we're being who we are. And we're growing together as a unit.
We're leading each other. Yeah. I just wanted to piggyback. You took the words right. I was like, there's certain times where, my babe will lead in ways that I just ain't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And then vice versa. But it's not like you reach a point of maturity in the relationship where it's like, that's what babe gonna do. That's what babe gonna do. We both can share in that leadership. But I ain't gonna say it's always been like peace when we were sharing. Like it was definitely some bucking going on, early on. But I think once you recognize the lanes of leadership that you naturally are inherent to play in, then you start having peace in some of that. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to compete. It's just like, I'm going to let her take care of that because she's better at that than I am. And I don't even need to compete with that. But I know I'm going to do a damn good job of cleaning up here or taking out the trash or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So just having peace in some of those areas, I think, will help you with your peace in your relationship.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think leadership as it's been ordained over time, from the beginning of time, or however people want to look for it, has always been a situation of order and power. I feel that coming away from it is to say that when you look at, books of study like the Bible, and it starts breaking down and talking about leadership roles and how that should go. The man should be the head of the house and blah, 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 like that. I think what we need to understand is that was a pressure that was put on us, and we weren't even born yet.
Yeah.
Mm. Wow.
That was an anxiety that was put on women,
Mm.
and they weren't
Yeah.
even born yet to feel that anxiety of being at a certain level and at a certain tier and activating and motivating in that and being able to withstand all the challenges that come with now these positions, right?
Mhm.
But to answer the question, really, I feel like, when it comes down to leadership and Black men, we have to be more understanding of what that means. Like, what does that mean for us? And what does that mean to be a leader in your household, in your community, in yourself? And are we choosing power? Because now comes in another dynamic. Are we choosing the power form of leadership? Or are we understanding what comprehensive leadership means to the people that we are involved with, to our partners, our wives? What does that really in some ways mean to you? Now, to come back to it is to say, some of that stuff don't mean anything to me. I'm trying to make sure, to y'all's point, like what y'all said, that collectively we are okay. So that's where I'm choosing my piece, but I'm not
Yeah.
choosing it because I have to choose it. I'm
Yeah.
choosing it because I want to choose it. I want to
That's
choose
right.
it. There's
That's right.
tons of stuff I'm not great in. And I can see in my partners that they're great in these other areas that I'm not great in, right? At the same time, there are tons of areas that I'm great in. And I feel like
Yeah.
in those areas, they allow me to lead in that space. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Now, there are still some things that, are just inherent, I feel, in how some women feel around leadership. And I think they generally look to us to allow for us to tell them how we are going to lead.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear y'all's points on that too. But typically from my aspect, it's been so how you gonna act, or how how do you want this to go, right? That's in some ways asking how
That's
you
that
gonna lead,
question,
how
ain't
you
it?
gonna lead it, how you about to lead this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I feel like
Yeah.
we need to answer with truth, with honesty. I also feel that we need to answer in some ways with how we genuinely feel, so there can be a discussion, because everything ain't about to be agreed upon.
Right.
Yeah.
That goes back to Jay's point. You don't want it to be too easy. You don't want it
That's
to be
right. I
every
get
single
you.
time I ask for something, you say yes, right? Like there needs to be more than that. What this actually takes me to, and Jay, this is going back when we first really were getting this thing going a couple of years ago, and your
Yeah.
relationship new, but started to get into some things, and it was difficult. And
Yeah.
we would
Yeah.
have those conversations. I was trying to
Absolutely.
use my experience to kind of help him out. I remember saying to him at one point, like, it's not easy. There's no part of it that has been easy, but there's no
Yeah.
question in my mind that even the parts of it that have been really hard in my relationship, it's the best thing that I've ever done.
Ever.
To be married for
Sure.
25 years is a
Yeah.
feat
Yes. Yes, sir.
that did not come without its share of a lot of stuff. And
Yes.
opening ourselves to one another in the ways we did, and sharing our imperfections with one another in the ways that we did, and growing through a lot of the things that we had to the way we did. Like one of the things I remember talking to Jay about was fighting. Like when Janine and I back in the day, when we would get in these arguments with one another, it was like going at each other real hard about whatever it was. And I know that I would get to that point, like I got to bounce. Like I
Yeah.
can't sit here with this, because if I do, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't need those problems. So I got to leave. I'm going to hop in the car. I'm going to drive around for an hour. I'm going to come back and I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. Like once I do that, I'm going to be good. I need to collect myself. That was the first couple years. After a while, because she kept she was on me like, no, you need to stay. You need to be a man and stay. I'm like, I'm going to be a man and leave. Yeah. I got to the point where I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, I need to be able to stay in here and control myself enough to be able to have a conversation.
That's right.
All I'm doing is reacting to criticism. Come on, like I got to be better than that.
Yeah.
So the way that she challenged me to do that, it was a sign of progress. When we had an argument, and I didn't leave. Like I was there. Now, when I was there, I may not have been listening. I may have shut down emotionally because that was the only way I was going to be able to stay. But then that became, I can sit here and not shut down emotionally and we can have a conversation. Like we've been able to move so far in those years. So to me, for those that can, the idea of longevity, if you can be in it long enough, it is going to reveal things about you that you didn't even know were a part of your being, which is great. And I'm not trying to say this is for everybody. Right? Like you got to do you. But if you're oriented in this direction and you are so drawn to another human being that you can't imagine your life without that person, it's worth fighting for. And by fighting for, I don't mean like fighting. I mean, it's worth going through the muck, going through the discomfort, going through all the stuff that comes with it. Because at the end of the day, if y'all are really in that thing together, where you come out is going to be a hell of a lot stronger than it was when you came in.
That's right.
Man,
yo,
you touching on some points, and I got the last question to ask for the day, and we kind of diving into it. We started talking about why men and women, specifically Black men and women, are so divided, but I want to put the bookend on it and be like, okay, what is required for us to bring Black men and women closer together? What is required to make these relationships be what we believe they have the potential of being? And so I just want to, whoever wants to go at it first, you've already started talking about some of it. Both of you all have to some capacity, but I want to throw it back in there and share with me maybe 2 or 3 nuggets, 1 or 2 nuggets you got.
You got it, Quest. I saw your finger up. Go for it.
I got at least 5, but I got at least 5 because, and I'm going to tell you, yo, these last 5 years of my life have been the greatest relationship years of my life ever, period. So I'm going to just go off what I know and we can go from there. Number 1, individual self-actualization. You got to have it. You got to have that. If you don't want to get that, it's never going to work, I feel. Because if you can't look at you and fix you first, you're not going to be able to deal with this person. Because this person ain't going to be able to deal with you. What if they have fixed them in a lot of ways and you ain't fixed you in no ways? It's you.
Yeah.
Easy. That's 1. 2, vulnerability. If you are not willing to understand that this is one of the most crucial parts of it all, you're not going to be able to do it. 3, transparency. And I mean transparency. We are scared to give everything to each other because we are fearful of someone taking it and using it against us. Guess what? If you, and this comes to 4, do not have that honest moment within your heart to understand what love is for you and that person, then that's not going to work at all. If you don't have the transparency to be able to see each other for who you are, that's not going to work at all either. So you got to have it. The level of trust in my relationships, bro, they know everything. I know everything about them. They know everything. I know every. And I know people are going to say, no, you don't know everything. I get that you're saying that. Maybe it's not to the very moment, but I'm telling you, the hard conversations that I've had, number 5, hard conversations, you got to have them. You got to stay in them. You got to be willing to sit in your mess. You got to be willing to understand that it is something that y'all got to work through. Even if you pissed off, even if you can't agree, you got to work through it. You see what I'm saying? Like it's mandatory.
You said the magic word, work. It is work.
It was work. It's mandatory that you sit in your stuff too. You know what I'm saying? So I feel I'm just gonna give those because just out of time, I'm just gonna give those. But I'm telling you, it is proven. It's proven that these things can work for you universally if you stop and look at each one of them within yourself first, and then you are able to project that out. you'll be fine. But if you continue to not listen, to not go and try to fix yourself, to not be vulnerable, to not seek transparency, to not want to talk through things, to not want to understand each other's traumas and where you need to be better, where you need to be. Okay, I'm going on further than I said. So I'm going to stop it right there. CJ, I'm going to let you talk. Because I'm just saying, it's like a lot. I know I used to be that guy. That guy that was prideful, that was, oh, we going to do it this way. We're not doing it that way, you know, and that also comes to what we talk about a lot on this show, and that is comprehension. You got to have that comprehension of like, what's worthy, what's valuable, what is this thing that really means something to me? You being the boss don't mean nothing to no one, because they're going to look at you and be like, you missing it.
Yeah.
So stop trying to be that and start trying to listen to how you can be a leader in your household.
Yeah.
You can still be the most masculine thing ever. That don't make a difference. Are you going to take time to work through these issues?
Yeah, that's it.
Are you going to take time to work through yourself?
Yeah.
And if you can do that, CJ, I'm passing it to you, man.
I don't even know how to follow that one up. There are a couple things, and again, as always, there are a couple things that come to mind too. And you've kind of covered them already, but I'm going to just say them slightly differently.
Yeah.
One of them is grace. You have to be willing to give your partner grace.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to understand that the person that you're sitting across from is just as imperfect as you are. You know, so you got to give them that grace to be, because if you don't, you're never going to experience that level of vulnerability that Quest was just talking about. Because that person sitting across from you is going, no, I'm being judged for not being what he or she thinks I'm supposed to be. Right. Yeah. And the moment that happens, what do? You start to shut down. Like, you really, really start to shut down.
Yes.
And then the relationship is doomed to fail at some point. Or maybe people are just living in their unhappiness together because they don't know it can be different. Because I know there are people who are living like that too.
Definitely.
So giving people that grace is probably the first thing that comes to mind. The second one, though, and again, it kind of goes along with all of this as well. Like, it's with what I was just saying, don't come into relationships trying to change people. That is a dead end. When you are trying to change someone else, what you're really trying to say is there are things about yourself that you're afraid to change. You are afraid to grow in a way that allows that person to be who they are. You need to control them. You need them to be a certain way for you to be whole. That ain't real. That's not real. Stop trying to change people. If they decide to change on their own, that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
If they're with you and they're realizing like, wow, in order to make this work, I got to make this sacrifice, you be your whole self, they're going to start to be their whole self. But when you come into it feeling like, ooh, I hate the way he or she does this or that, and I'm going to change it, because there are people who really believe I'm going to do what I got to do to hook this person into this relationship. Yeah. And knowing that at the end of the day, I'm going to have my free will to try to change them. No, because all that's going to do is wind up producing resentment. And again, if it doesn't, if you are really in that control of someone else, the person you're in control of, whether they accept it willingly, they're weakish in that way, or whether they just say, damn, I love this person enough, I just got to go through it. You're not getting that whole person in a way that's going to grow you. Yeah. You know, stop trying to change people. Let them come into your life to be who it is that they're supposed to be. And that's going to challenge you to grow in the way that person was called in your life to do.
Man, y'all giving out.
You spoke on it. You spoke on that.
Yeah,
you spoke on that, yo.
Man.
What you got?
Man, y'all dropping so many nuggets. I'm up here like, yeah, I remember that part of my relationship. I remember that part too. I remember I was there. I was there too. I think on top of everything that y'all said, I think we up to like 7 or 8 nuggets already. I think the 2 things that come to mind, one, therapy is a gift.
Oh, man.
You know, use it. It's there for a reason. Therapy individually. Quest already talked about self-actualization, but also therapy collectively. Like, everybody that got to some level of greatness had a coach. You know what I'm saying? So what we look like not having our own coaches to help us sharpen in ways that we couldn't recognize on our own. So that would be my first one, is go get you some therapy. And 2, I think the next piece, on top of everything that everybody has said, like, read with your partner. Like, go invest some time and energy into a book like Bell Hooks, The Will to Change, and, you know, All About Love, and these other books that are out there. We just picked up another book by Young Pueblo. Like, literally, she bought this one in here today. You know what I'm saying? Like, How to Love Better. I mean, like, experience these things with your partner so that you can learn how to love each other better and come together versus division. And I think those are going to be ways that can help you on top of everything that everybody else has said. I loved everything everybody said, but those are the two pieces that I think add cherries on the top.
Man, I think the greatest thing that you said right there was that last thing too, because I'm going to tell you, the greatest feeling ever for me is seeing my partners excel. Like it is, you talk about cheerleader, I'm more than a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I am their greatest hype man.
Yeah.
I am their greatest hype man because they are awesome. Like when I just think about like being, like seeing some of what they are doing and kind of how they're doing, how it's moving, how the information that they're giving me that I didn't know, all of that, like you're not gonna support that? Come on, stop it. Stop it.
Wow.
And you looking for somebody to do the same for you? Like, come on, fellas. Like, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. When we're sitting here and we're talking about them supporting us to the 90th degree. They're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing some of even our paperwork or whatever it is, and you're not going to reciprocate that? Come on. Come on. We can't just do that. We got to be, Jay, like you said, we got to be in the business of learning with each other. Being able to big up each other in the way that they want it to be. You know what I'm saying? In the form that they want it to be.
So
synergize, don't conquer. I'm gonna leave it there. Synergize, don't conquer. 1 + 1 = 3 or more. Synergize. Don't feel like you got to come in and conquer somebody else.
All right, fellas.
We didn't know it was going to quite go there, but that was good. That was good. That was healthy.
On top of
that was
it.
Healthy.
Yes. That's good. That's good.
Well, somebody close us out.
Hey, I'll go ahead and do it since we started this. I hope you all had an amazing time with us. We had an amazing time with you. Black men, we love you. We are supporting you. We want you to understand that we are here for you. And always, we're just giving options on things, and we're having just a general discussion. We know that you all have feedback that you want to give us. Please give it to us in those comments. Give us discussion points that you feel that we haven't made here that you want to make so that we can put those in our comments on all of our social medias and really get interactive with you. We want to hear more from you. We want to hear more about you. Hey, thank you for visiting us, for coming and seeing us, for taking us into your homes, for taking us into your cars, for taking us into every space that can be listened to and that can be actioned to. It's the 4050 Social Club. We out of here.
Thank y'all. Peace. Well, there you have it. Another epic episode of 4050 Social Club, and we hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. Subscribe on YouTube. Click that button below. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all social media platforms. We are here to help Black men transition through the most impressionable years of your life, your 40s and 50s. Don't feel as though you're out here alone. We're here with you to share our stories and our journey. So let's get to it, y'all. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And until then, be well, friends. Peace.